This is Paige DeSorbo from Giggly Squad. Boost Mobile gives you the same network coverage, speed, and service you're used to, just at a more affordable price. Why pay more if you don't have to? Offering reliable nationwide coverage backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. Love your service or get your money back, no questions asked. Visit your nearest Boost Mobile store or head to boostmobile.com to learn more. After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers who cancel within 30 days of activation will have Boost service fees refunded. Activation fees, if applicable, and phone payments will not be refunded.
Hi guys, welcome to this week's episode of Heavy Metal Tones. I'm your podcast host, Tony Evans. This is a treat for you. This is the follow-on from that episode I did only a couple of episodes back about Epic Records. A band from Canada, Toronto to be in fact, reached out to me after my top 10 albums of 2025, my list, and they reached out because they loved the list and wanted me to listen to their music. Sundecay is the name of the band, and they've got a new album out on February the 13th of this year, 2026. So if you're listening into the future, it was 2026 in the past, and then if you listen to it now, it's 2026 in the future. Anyway, silliness is over. The album itself, they sent me a physical copy, which is really, really nice of them to do so. And it came in really quickly in the mail. And after a couple of emails with the band, they're very proud of this particular physical copy. I have to tell you, it's probably one of the nicest albums physically that I have received or have bought or purchased for a very long time. This is a independent label, independent record made by a small band from Canada, as I said, called Sundecay. That's Sundecay, Sundecay, one word. The album is The Blood Lives Again. This is their third studio album. I could only find one studio album on Spotify. Other streaming platforms may have the rest of them, but there is one on there. But this will be out on the 13th of this month, February, as I record it. It's a brilliant, as I said, beautiful product. So what I've got in my hands here, this is a matte black finish record that opens up. I'm just going to get it out of its little plastic sleeve. Oh, there you go. It's on air magic behind the scenes, eh? This is number 12 of 500. It's on a red vinyl, sort of clear red vinyl. It opens up like a cross. Beautiful embossing, sort of almost like gilding, silver and gold. Looks like it's been etched, and it opens up in like a big cross. So I'm not quite sure what the actual definition of the name of that is. It says "Open your eyes." It says as you open up the main folder. Just beautiful. I can't even get it on the table to show you, to even open it up to describe it. This is how wonderful this is. And it says the razor. It says razor elf light slices the skies. It's got all this sort of lovely writing on it. Beautiful finish. Well worth every cent. You can pre-order it from Bandcamp. It has all the lyrics of the songs on it. As I said, mine comes in a really nice coloured vinyl. And but also came wonderfully with a really lovely printed cardstock launch information. Just something that these small things like this just get missed by the big bands. This is a really genuinely beautiful product. Now, you can pre-order it from Bandcamp, and I will put their information in the show notes below. Once you've pre-ordered it, you can then download it. You'll get a downloaded code, and you can download the music. Let me just get it back into its cover, so I don't want to get it ruined. So, hey, by the powers of magic of radio and of podcasts, when I come back, it will be in its sleeve, if I'm lucky. There you go. In no time at all, it's back in its cover. Now, I am an advocate, because I'm an audiophile, of looking after my records, and I do like to put them in quality plastic covers, but I like to buy archival quality covers, and you can get them. I'll again put a link in if I can remember the show notes. The ones I use, the cheap ones, try and take them out of the plastic they come in, and put them into a nice cover. Anyway, this one I think you need to, because the cardstock is matte black. It's beautiful to touch. It's a really nice physical medium. It brings joy to me just to have it in my collection, to hold it, and to know it's and to be with it when I'm playing it. It sounds brilliant. The actual pressing from this is just superb. Now, the band has said it's a Sundecay. Now I'm going to read from their blurb so I can get it exactly right. Sundecay is a progressive melodic doom metal band based in Toronto, Canada. Dark ethereal waves combine with thundering crashes to define their signature sound. Sundecay's third studio album release, The Blood Lives Again, warns of tyranny and corruption while contemplating legacy, disillusionment. Their lumbering, persistent march into the deep recesses of the dread bring us to the furthest reaches of the doom genre, constantly constantly bellowing over the edge of darkness with gut-wrenching tones from string, throat, and skins. The Blood Lives Again takes us even deeper into the relentless fever dream that defines Sundecay. Some of the reviews I've got here: bleak, brutal, and beautiful. Absolutely defy you not to be moved by doom. And that was doommetal.com. Will alter your mood while bringing chills to your spine. That's Metal Nexus. Burly double guitar riffs, spacious vocal echoes, and the largesse of groove, the Obelisk. Everyone says infectious and groovy. Heavy blog is heavy. They recommend it for fans of Pallbearer, Chemist, Windhand, Spirit Adrift, 40 Watt Sun, Black Sabbath, obviously, Monolord, Pentagram, Saint Vitus, and Elder. It was produced by Derek Kaufman. It is on the independent label, Oxidized Records. Certainly, before you even start to play this record, you're going to, just by having the physical medium in your hands, you're going to understand how it's going to be. It almost screams at you what the sounds are going to give you. Now, let me get my notes. I spent a fair bit of time with this album. I got it just after Christmas from the band. I didn't want to rush it out. I wanted to live with the music for a while before I could give you its full, my full idea of how I feel about it. Because it can you can rush these things quickly, and albums like this really grow on you. Particularly the fact that it's a progressive album, right? It's got a lot of depth in it, okay? We've got a few tracks. It's not a lot of tracks. You can tell it's a progressive album because when you open up the packaging and you put the record on the deck, or you go to stream it, you'll notice that there is only 5 tracks on this album. And it already, for those that know my taste in music, screams happiness and joy to me, because it means that, I'm going to spend a good 43 minutes and 43 seconds. What a great synergy that is, amongst this beautiful musical landscape, without too much directional change, without too much sharp corners, misdirections and direction shifts. This is almost could be listened to in one piece of music. it obviously it does tell different stories each track, but you're looking at tracks. Here we go. I'll give you the listings. You've got "Here Comes the Wizzard," which is the single, which is the track that you'll be hearing at the end of the show. I really would like you please to hold in, and it will be at the end. It's 8 minutes and 5 seconds long, so do bear with you. If you're not, as I said before in the last few episodes ago, if you're not into epic music, this is the kind of music that will draw you into being into epic music. And then you've got Silent Spoken, which is 7 minutes and 48. Then you've got The Blood Lives Again, which is 6 minutes and 4. Then you have the epic. You have The Tyranny Rushes In, and that is 11 minutes 22 seconds. Okay. And then you end with Will Dusk Defy Dawn. Okay. And that's 10 minutes and 19. So nothing here is going to be radio friendly. In fact, I reached out to the band and they were like, well, can't really make it an edit. Not really. And then they asked me if I could edit it, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to. I'm going to stick the whole track on at the end. It's available on YouTube to listen to, and the track is on Spotify. But for those that don't, that are here now, with the one-stop shop, as we like to call it, this spend some time with this track at the end, and really give it a little bit of love in. Now, the band has 5 members in it. Its main writers are Brian Scott on guitar and Rich Poppet on vocals. They're the main songwriters. They also have Mark Chandler on guitar, Julian Vardy on drums, and Sean Sewell on bass. They sent me a little bit of a bio. I'm going to read it to you now, and then we'll get on with it. But I just think it'd be good for you to understand where the band is coming from. Here we go with my best radio voice. Sundecay was formed in Toronto in Canada in 2012, driven by a mutual love of moody melodic bands from the 80s, both in and out of the metal world. And you can hear that in the review I give. Founding members Brian Scott and Rich Poppet collaborated to develop a signature sound inspired by as much by the Smiths and Black Sabbath, joined immediately by Julian Vardy on drums and Mark Chandler on guitars. Sundecay crafted a library of ethereal compositions designed to touch the soul, then bash it around a bit. I love that. In 2014, Sundecay released a debut EP, Bodies at the Frontier, introducing a burgeoning sound with anthems like Into the Daybreak and eerie epics like Cave, A Stone, and The Drawing. Brilliant. In 2018, Decay returned to studio with a dedication to improving production. Their collaboration with Derek Hoffman resulted in a leap in the grandeur and clarity of their offerings. The resulting EP, Gale, brought forth the thundering heavy motions and the tour de force epic Land That Never Thaws. Yes, I recommend you listening to that. Sundecay was distracted but not delayed by the global events of 2020. Finally, they made it back to the studio to once again collaborate with Derek Hoffman to produce their first full-length album, The Blood That Lives Again. But building on the haunting themes and thunderous compositions that was come to define Sundecay's work, they dive deep into fears of burgeoning global tyranny and ruthless self-exploitation to bring the ominous warnings like Here Comes the Wizzard and The Tyranny Rushes In, while exploring self-worth in heartbreaking fashion through tracks like Silent Spoken and Will Dusk Defy Dawn. Sundecay continues to lay out their interpretation of our bleak existence and how beautifully brutal it can be. Wonderful. I couldn't have put that better. In fact, if I'd read that for this album, you'd probably gone, that's a great review. Thanks, Brian, for sending that through. Brian, who I've been talking to over the last few weeks. And yeah, that's Sundecay really summed up, to be honest. It's doom, ladies and gentlemen. It's doom through and through. What else can I say? For those that are not sure about doom music, I have an episode I will put in the show notes where I talk about doom. It's called Doom, Raw, Doomed. It actually was one of my most popular episodes that I recorded. This album is not your very slow, extremely slow dirge doom that you often get with bands like St. Vitus. even though it's for fans of synthetizers, it's more of has a more fresher, more it has more clarity. Sometimes with doom music, it can get lost in its own fundament, trying to be as slow and as turgid and sludgy as possible. This is progressive doom, so it has different kinds of time changes. It gets faster, it gets slower. There's a whole point in one of the tracks, I believe, when Tyranny is there's a 2 minutes and 28 before we get any vocals, any lyrics whatsoever. It's a deep, I've written here, deep grooves, delicious doom. It's heavily moving, it's heat, and it also gives me full body chills in a lot of ways. One of the longer, deeper, darker areas of the recesses of doom this album is. So I would say that this is an album for the connoisseur and for the beginner, because it's got enough in it for you who, if you love your doom like me. I mean, my first doom band I saw live was Candlemass, supporting with Cathedral supporting, and it has essence of Cathedral. It's not. I would say it's not Candlemassy, because Candlemass was a little bit more grinding and a bit more. It was heavier. This is a heavy album, absolutely, but it's not as traditionally heavy as, say, I mean, even Black Sabbath, I think, is on the borderlines. I think this is a lot more Cathedral. In fact, we'll talk about it in a little while, but I actually hear a lot of a particular band in one track. When I listened to it, hang on, am I listening to an outtake from this? I genuinely thought at one point when I was listening to Blood Lives Again that I was listening to a Killing Joke track from their Pandemonium era. It has that. You know, Killing Joke were and are the best at groove-laden, despair-ridden, angst music. You know, that kind of apocalyptic sense of mad of the world. They were best at it, and Pandemonium is one of the best albums, par none, of that era, and probably of all time, in fact, of the kind of music. So to hear those nuances, I don't know if the band are Killing Joke fans. I'm not sure. We will be having them on the show in an interview in a few weeks' time, so that we'll dive into that more then. But the album, as I said, you know, it's a difficult one for me to analyze. I just want to. I'm not going to go deep track for track, because I want you to. We're going to do that in the interview, but I just want to say, think that the opening track, "Here Comes the Wizzard," which is the track you'll be hearing at the end of the show, is probably the most accessible track. You can see why they open the album with it, and you can see why they have it as their single, if you air commas, released from the album, their go out track from the album, because it has that sort of lighter vibe. You know, it's a really great little bit of sing along. It has its imagery and its musicality are accessible, yet still at the same time being quite diverse and progressive. And you know, the thing about progressive music is, by definition, it is taking a form of music and changing in such a way that you have become a progression on from where it started. So the reason the progressive doom is the way it is because it's not longer just the no 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 jung 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 sort of stuff. It's not funereal. It has interesting chord changes. It has interesting time changes. There's vocal nuances in it. What I love about this album, and what I really like about is the singing. The vocals on this album are very catchy in a lot of ways, very clear and easy to understand. There's no deaf growls. There's nothing to, for those who don't like that, would put you off. It's progressive because there are melodies in it. There is beautiful pop sensibilities almost in this album. There are punk sensibilities. There is traditional heavy metal in there. There is almost, to some extent, like in the opening 2.5 minutes of Tyranny, there's almost a classical Wagnerian kind of epic feel where they're creating, wastelands and tundras and space. This is another thing about here I really like about this album, is that the space. There's so much space in and around every moment. It doesn't feel forced. It feels that they've taken their time to think, if I want this passage of music that I've just written to linger for 4 minutes, it will linger. I'm not going to try and edit it to make it easier to listen to those that aren't into it. They're making music for themselves, it seems, and for people who appreciate long and interesting pieces of music. This is not music, again, that's radio friendly, but then none of the stuff I talk about is radio friendly. But it is a good album for those that are looking to move into progressive music or even into doom music, because, a lot of times people point directly at, the early Sabbath albums, and I said, same Vitus or Candlemass, all these kind of really sort of doomy, extreme doom bands. And, there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of them. I mean, Australia here we have Witch Skull. And to Witch Skull, to me, are very, in a somewhat similar vein to Sundecay, because Witch Skull are a little more progressive as well. Yes, they have their grinding, slow, heavy pieces of music, but they also switch and have sort of it's almost a drug-fueled mayhem. This is similar to Sundecay in the fact that it's lyrically, where they're also talking about, it may talk about wizards, and it may talk about things that you might think, oh, how passé, oh, wizards, oh no, I'm not into that kind of thing. Isn't that for D&D players and spotty youths with decks of cards on a Saturday morning in the mall? No, it's not necessarily. I think that the band use that imagery because it's a good way of telling a morality story, a fable, and a look at modern society without being too dated. One of my pet hates from maybe about 5 years ago during the COVID period is that lots of bands wrote songs about COVID. And yes, we were living through it, but my God, it dates it. And geez, because we were living through it at the time. So, in hindsight, it's a bit cringeworthy for me. So what I like about this kind of thing lyrically is that, they're not trying to reinvent the wheel and be smart ass, having a go at Trump or, climate change or the cost of living crisis, a health crisis, or whatever, the internet and AI and all that sort of schmuck stuff. Schmuck stuff? That's not the right word. I meant to say schmoly. Another Yiddish word. Anyway, what they're doing is they're taking their worries about the world, as I said before, quite clearly. They say that they are it's about corruption and tyranny. Now, we're living through a time of unprecedented corruption and tyranny across the globe, across societies of all levels, and even more worse, that we can actually see it in real time unfolding in front of our eyes. But instead of them going and making a political statement that's too obvious, they're taking a more rounded and historical stab, using imagery in their verse. And again, great lyrics. We'll talk about those when we get to the episode with band, but they are great songwriters. I mean, don't be fooled by a track just because your opening track is Here Comes the Wizzard, because I think you'll find hidden within that within that lyrical concept, we're talking about here comes, and you can use Trump because it's a very easy one to point out and it dates the show, but any power person really in play. Here he comes. He comes a man to flim flam you, right? To make you look in one direction while doing something with misdirection. It's all about misdirection and corruption. That's how I look at that song. Again, when we talk to Brian, it might be different. That's the beauty of music, isn't it? That we all look at music our own way. But it opens with an absolute cracker and it ends with Will Dusk Defy Dawn, which is actually my second favourite track on the album. I also love the play on Dusk Till Dawn, one of my favourite movies. I like that I love the way that they're saying, will dusk defy dawn? Will the night take over the day? Will darkness reign? It's really apt for now. So, where do we stand? What do I think? So far, I would say that this is one of the best albums of 2026. I know it's only, the year is only young and there's many, many albums to come out. But very, very often, very rarely do I hear an album as much as as good as this. Very much like a few years ago with Antagonizer's album. It just hits you, right? It sort of it grabs you and says, you have to re-listen to me. I've now listened to this via digital download from the band and via the physical format over a dozen times. And every time that I listen to it, something different comes out. Like I said, I'm hearing Killing Joke, I'm hearing Cathedral, I'm hearing, some Black Sabbath in there, sort of. It doesn't have the gallop that Sabbath and the blues-driven background that Sabbath had. I mean, there's some blues in this, but it's almost a progressive bastardization of the blues, if you're really trying to find it. It has a real, for me, also deeply connected with the 70s progressive rock movement. I mean, if this came out in 72, 73, you'd be going, oh yeah, this is a progressive masterclass. This is sits alongside anything that would have come out of the British bands of that era. I mean, it does have some Gentle Giant vibes on it. Now, they're one of those progressive rock bands that people tend to forget, but it has that real kind of a Gentle Giant vibe on it. Those that don't know the band Gentle Giant, go and dig it and have a look. You're going to be really, really surprised. It's not heavy, not at all, but it has it. For some reason, I get this Gentle Giant vibe. I also get a bit of Focus, the Dutch instrumental progressive band from the 70s. It has that sort of feel to it as well. And I hope that when the band listen to this, they go, oh yeah, we were channeling that, because I'm hearing it, right? Yes, Gentle Giant were a British band, from the 70s and 80s. Their logo, the picture of the Gentle Giant is so, when you see it, you go, oh, I've seen that before. From the original album Giant right through to, advent of Panurge and Reflection, just the same. Brilliant, albums like Octopus and The Power and the Glory, just great albums. I'd highly recommend you having a listen to them. Again, I hear Gentle Giant in them, in this band. I hear a lot of those heavier, that Van der Graaf generator to some extent. There's a little bit of Emerson, Lake and Palmer in there as well. There's a little bit of the madness, yet the tamed and restricted madness of King Crimson in here. But also there are some dark connections, like Paul Bearer, like I hear a bit of Neo Oblivious, bands like Australia, like Neo Oblivious Scaris. That kind of instrumentation is coming through. I'm not sure whether bands like Sundecay are influenced by them, but there is that, looking for tasting notes or listening notes, similar kind of thing, right? Anyway, brilliant album. So The album itself is available to go and pre-order physical formats. I highly recommend. Please do that. There won't be many of them, and once you've listened to the album itself, I'm guaranteed that those that have the ability to spend the money will grab a copy, whether it be CD or vinyl. But those that don't and can only afford a monthly streaming service, it will be on all those streaming services. Anyway, I think this is a solid 11 out of 10. I think this goes to the Millsy meter. I think this blows the mercury out. If you're looking for a doom album made by people who genuinely understand the medium they're using and the music they are living within, this is the album for you. I'm astounded, really astounded by the quality of everything to do with it. Considering this is a small underground band with, doesn't have hundreds of thousands and millions of downloads and followers. This is a band who clearly you can see that this is a passion project. It probably cost them so much money. They probably worked their bums off to make this album, and it really shows. This is why I live in the shadows of the underground. This is why I like the depths and the dungeons and the dank and the odd spaces of the underground, because here in that space where the air is thick and mildewed and there is no wisp of breeze, if you know what I mean. There's no sunny uplands with this stuff. You get the most audacious creativity. You get stuff where they don't care. They don't care that a track is 12 minutes long. They don't care that suddenly it will turn a sharp corner and be something else. They don't care. They don't have to self-edit and edit out. They can do what they want. They can make what they want, and they can say what they want. And the creativity here is beautiful. I'm always sort of wondering how a band would go an underground band if they were given the opportunity by a massive record label to make that massive record with truckloads of money behind them and all the product for them to use, studios, recording spaces, videographers, all that sort of. I don't know whether they could recreate the kind of marvelous stuff like this album, because there'd be pressure on them to make something with the money that's not theirs, if you know what I mean, or money that they are then terrified they have to make back because it could bankrupt them. And it has to many bands, and look, you just have to look at the burgeoning scenes of the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, all of the major movements, when they've gone from underground to major sort of high street music, the bands they either lose direction or they disappear completely. Very few have the ability to weather the storm of going from making what they want to be making what they're told to make. It can be very galling for creative people, and I think that this is one of those things. This is one of those albums I don't know if it would be made by a band if they had unlimited funds. I don't know if wonderful tracks like The Blood Lives Again, with that fantastic Killing Joke sparkle to it, or The Tyranny Rushes In at 11 minutes 22, or Will Dusk Defy Again at 10:19. I don't know where those little nuances where you hear the rustling of trees, I can imagine them, or the sound of echoes and crackles and the movement of souls through a universe, it almost seems. I don't know if that would happen, because it would be polished, click-tracked, quantized, and sanitized, because they want they'd want a 4-minute track that they could put out on a quick snap YouTube video, you know. So I just 1 second, I'm just going to take a sip of my beer. Pardon me. I'm recording a long day of work, and it's nice to sit down with a dark ale and talk about my favourite things. And this is one of my favourite things because truly, I again lost track. I went sidetracked off there. But yeah, would they? Could they? And bands have done it. Of course they have. You just have a look at bands like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath. You know, there are bands out there that have done it, but there are a myriad that when you listen to their music, if you saw them in the club on the Sunday and you've been watching them ad nauseum in the local music scene and really big fans, and then suddenly they jump and you're no longer seeing them in their small venues, they've got this big album out, you know, even the most loyal fans will struggle to maintain connection with the band. I have a very, very hands-on experience of this. Now, I'm a big Marillion fan, massive Marillion fan. I've talked about this before. Those who are new to the podcast, Marillion are a neo-progressive rock band. They're not anymore, but they were a neo-progressive rock band formed in the late 70s, early 80s, and had a massive hits towards the middle of the 80s with very modern take on a very old progressive sound. They were everything that I loved dearly. Now, what the band itself had lots of success, but towards the end of the first era of the band, then the singer left, Fish left. They have a new singer, and very much mirroring Genesis, they make 2 good albums that I liked with that singer. Like Genesis did with Trick of the Tail and Wind and Wuthering. Marillion did it with Holidays in Eden and Season's End and Holidays in Eden, sorry. Now, I can't really listen to later Marillion now. I have tried. I find it very radio-friendly, AOR, middle-aged. It's well-made, beautiful music. They're brilliant musicians. It's just not dynamic enough. They tried to be proggy with certain albums like Berlin and things, but not Berlin. Sorry, I just really can't. I just can't get my head around it, and it's sort of to me that's the same way I feel like they became what Genesis did. They became radio friendly. They will tell you that they weren't. They certainly didn't make lots of singles, but they're much easier to listen to. They're not making 13-minute songs with lots of, squidgy guitar and flowery instrumental pieces and lyrics about, Beowulf, creatures from Beowulf, you know. But, you know, it is what it is. Okay, it is what it is. I'm not sure if they would do it, and I'm really happy that they haven't. I'm really happy that we ourselves have gone, right. No, the band has gone, right. This is what you're getting. I know, you know, I want that band. I want the band to have all the success they can get. I want them to not want financially for anything. I want them to keep making brilliant music and to be appreciated in both in a fiscal way and in a more esoteric way, right? Like with praise and listening numbers. But I slightly gatekeep as well, and I'm guilty of it. Whereas I want them also just to stay who they are. And after discovering this brilliant album from this band, I mean, I'm just very lucky at what I do in my life. Bands like this, they reach out to me and they asked for, you know, a little bit of help. Can you send me? I'm going to send you the album. I had no idea who the band was. You know what? Yeah, I'm always up for that. It doesn't matter who it is. So any bands listening to this, please It doesn't matter what genre of metal it is. If you want me to listen, you want me to review it, or you want me to some advice or whatever, I don't mind, whatever. Just send it. Just email me at heavymetaltones@gmail.com. The emails and the links below, and I will, I will do what I can. I will always, always, always put you on the show. Unless you are some terrible neo-Nazi, fascist, aggressive, nasty pieces of work, of course, I will put you on the show and I will showcase your work. I'm very, very open to all sorts of things. Even outside of this, even punk and even progressive, even non-metal stuff, I will certainly take a listen. And to that note, here we come to the end of this episode. Slightly shorter one because I just wanted to really talk about the album, and I really wanted to whet your appetite for what's coming in a few weeks' time when we interview the band. But right now, I leave you with the brilliant opening track for this fantastic album called Here Comes The Wizzard. It is 8 minutes and 5 seconds long. Do give it all that it deserves. Please do share it. It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify and all the other streaming platforms. Once you've listened, if you love it, pre-order the album. Say Tony says hi. And and that's enough for this week. I just really cannot say much more high praise that this is one of the best albums so far this year. And I would say it's going to be quite hard to top. Beautiful packaging, beautiful merchandise. I know that it's not all about packaging, but my God, they've done a great job. And I know they're very proud of it, and they should be. It's just, chef's kiss on that one. 11 out of 10 for everything. Take a listen. Give yourself some time to it. I'd love to know what you think. Please do text me, email me, message me, whatever. Get back to me in all the platforms and tell me what you think of the single, and then we can talk afterwards and tell you what you think of the album when it comes out. February 13th on all good streaming platforms, but to buy the product, go straight to Bandcamp. I'll put the links in the show notes below. Bye for now. Here comes the Wizards. Play it loud, guys. Play it really loud.
This is Paige DeSorbo from Giggly Squad. Boost Mobile gives you the same network coverage, speed, and service you're used to, just at a more affordable price. Why pay more if you don't have to? Offering reliable nationwide coverage backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. Love your service or get your money back, no questions asked. Visit your nearest Boost Mobile store or head to boostmobile.com to learn more. After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers who cancel within 30 days of activation will have Boost service fees refunded. Activation fees, if applicable, and phone payments will not be refunded.